Greetings, fellow keepers. It's Soniel here with the Keeper's Corner, and we are loading into the Gathering Storm Chapter 11 on Extreme. I wanted to go ahead and cut out that earlier part because I had a feeling this video will take a little bit longer than most, and didn't really feel like going through the trouble of speeding it up and all that jazz. Anyhow, we are running here with the Warmaster, the Cleric, the Druid, and the Ninja. This is a gear and star check to boot. The whole thing is basically designed for 7-star heroes and max equipment. As we talked about before, there are going to be a lot of people who struggle to complete this one. And again, please don't be too upset about that. There are very little rewards for defeating this. You get 9,000 gold and a stupid trophy monster. But I did want to show a full run of it and show how I kind of broke the difficulty of this campaign, so to speak. A lot of people, even who have some of those higher level heroes, still struggled with it. And that being said, we are running a level 59 Dragon Scale enchanted to +7. That's the Epic Chainmail on the Warmaster here. He is 7-starred, and he's got a level 54 Ambusher's Hacker. The max level on those items are 57 for the Ambushers and 63 for the Dragon Scale, so they're a little bit off from fully maxed. The Ninja here is only 6 stars. He does have a maxed Vorpal Sword at level 61. It's enchanted to +7, and he's wearing a level 58 Aetheron robes that I want to say is enchanted to +6 or 7. So again, not quite maxed, but much higher than the initial craft ratings. And then we got the 7-star Druid and 7-star Clerics here. I did also clear this on Soniel, the other account that I use for Keeper's Corner. It took quite a few more tries and a couple potions for him to do it with the 1 less star on most of these heroes. So it is pretty perfectly tuned by Mr. Rohan, who created it. Again, to be aimed towards those 7-star heroes and whatnot. But one of the values of this team in particular is the Ninja combined with the Druid and the Warmaster's cooldown reductions as well, and the damage boost from Battle Fury, is capable of being the sole DPS on this team and really using Poison Smoke Bomb as if it were a pure AoE skill, much like the Shadow Sensor on the Warlock or the Rain of Fire on the Archmage, and as well as giving the damage base of some of those better AoE skills, it's also giving you the disruption from the stun, that even when the stun doesn't last for very long, it slows down their skill cycle and allows you for so many additional turns when you combine it with the stacks of Call to Arms, which you're going to get even more of by casting Invigor on the Warmaster as we run through this. And there are a few places in this particular stage setup that you get a little bit of a breathing room to build up your soul energy, like right now. So if you are attempting this, you want to make sure that you clear the enemies in a similar pattern. I don't know if you had seen there, I targeted the archers first and then the sword bearers second, and part of the reason for that is the archers have that nasty debuff, the target weakness, but also that they are capable of targeting our Cleric, our Druid, and our Ninja. And of course, if our Cleric or our Ninja go down, we're going to be in pretty bad trouble. Now, when you are getting debuffed as well by these guys, it's usually the target weakness, which is a very similar debuff to Doom. It is a % damage taken increase. There's also the large defense reductions, and there's a Demon Shout, basically, that lowers your attack, or a Nightmare ability. If the Nightmare is up and the defense debuff is up on your tank, and you have a Nightmare debuff on your Ninja, for example, you're typically going to want to cleanse the Nightmare debuff first, because if you can't deal damage and you can't generate soul energy, you're pretty much going to fail right away. One of the keys to making this work is that you really have to be able to fire off the smoke bomb literally every second that it comes up. You can't have any downtime on the smoke bomb, and you're going to want to always make sure that you have the shield tactics or the rapid regen or the revive available to you depending on the circumstances. You typically don't want to sit and stack the shield tactics repeatedly. It's just such a great soul energy cost and not as much gain as you would think, getting the double stacks or triple stacks or whatever you want to say of the shield tactics. And again, if you're approaching this with the higher level stars and the higher level gear requirements, you should be able to survive just with the take charge stacks that you're going to get from casting in Vigor on the Warmaster. Typically, take charge is a fairly useless ability because the bonus health is rather low. But much like the Valkyrie, if you are able to get a couple stacks of it going, it can really help to increase the survivability of your heroes. It gives them a nice little buffer. It acts just like the Paladin's Bless ability, his active soul skill that gives you a little bit of bonus HP. You'll see this blue shield on your heroes that indicates they have that bonus HP. And you'll see here too, like when we get down on these lower level enemies, we want to make sure that we're switching our single target damage as their health gets lower, so that the Righteous Call or the Poison Smoke Bomb can finish them off instead of a Shadow Step, a Shuriken, or an Entangle. But once again, we're taking out the archers first. We'll move on to this caster in the back here, and then we'll take out the Warmaster knockoff here in the bottom. These guys with the hammers are geared similarly skill-wise to the Warmaster with the one-hit build, so to speak. They have the Shield of Valor ability that the more times they take damage, they're going to build up their attack rating. Similar to the Covenant Assassin in the Chapter 7, the boss featured in that stage. And very similar to that, we're going to want to tick them away with damage over time spells as opposed to targeting them straight out. So we want to make sure that they're the last target we approach in every room. And they'll usually give us an opportunity to build up that soul energy like we talked about. And of course, if you do single target them, they will end up hitting your tank, even with that 7-star rating and the fully epic gear, for upwards of 400-600 damage. You get 2 or 3 of those knocked on you, and some other damage abilities that'll put you in a bad spot before you even get to the boss room. Ideally, we want to be going into the boss room here with full health, full soul energy, and all of our soul skills available, which is, with any difficult boss, how you want to be able to approach it. If you can't get through the first stages with relative ease, going in battered up and with all your skills on cooldown is going to make the boss much, much more difficult for you. And on that note as well, and talking about the gear checks and the star checks and whatnot, at a massive 324 food cost, if you aren't sure that you can make a solid attempt at this, I would highly advise to just avoid it. Maybe go after the normal and the hards if you're able to do them. But the extreme here is not anything other than that trophy monster like we talked about and a little chunk of gold. But if you end up spending 3,000 or 6,000 food trying to do this, you're going to miss out on a lot more than 9,000 gold. You're going to miss out on all kinds of catacombs points and find loots and emerald chests and other things that you could have done with that food. But this will at least give everyone who wasn't able to complete it an opportunity to see what the monsters are like and how some of these higher level monsters can dish out damage, and of course how the Ninja and the Warmaster synergize to help slow down the cycles on these more difficult enemies. Once again, a great job by Rohan putting together a very challenging campaign. I know some people are pretty frustrated with the difficulty. I personally enjoy a steep learning curve and a steep level of difficulty in any game I play. I'm a big fan of Dark Souls and things like that. And I think in that respect, Rohan's done a really good job at making this, like I said, very difficult, but still able to be completed if you do it the right way and if you have the right setups. Sometimes it's nicer to have it be strategy rather than gear, but it's probably a lot harder to do that in implementation, because then the people with the higher level gear and whatnot are able to just steamroll through it. But we see there that's our Warmaster got fairly low in that last cycle there because of the debuffs from the target weakness and the defense debuff from the caster in the middle here. And now some people might want to prefer to go after the caster first. Again, I prefer to go after the archers because of their bombard, their Target weakness again, and the piercing shot that they do as well can be fairly damaging. Now the stun can be a bit painful. Fortunately, in the few runs I've done on this, I haven't had too many situations where the ninja got stunned for too long, because he does have such a fast cycle. He usually comes out of it fairly quick. But we'll throw up a shield tactics and a rapid regen here just as a little bit of a buffer. And now I am running Renewal here on the Druid. I was using this Renewal setup on the Druid for some other things. Cyclone is also pretty viable here. The soul generation on it is quite significant with a high-level Thunder Staff, and it is a decent damage ability. Renewal does give a little bit of a buffer with not having to revive the tank and waste the soul energy there. As you see, I've had quite a decent amount of soul energy here with just really the ninja and the cleric as my only generators. And especially if you're able to drop the poison smoke bomb repeatedly like that, you're going to catch some times where the smoke bomb goes off as he's getting his 3 attacks, and sometimes even 4 or 5 attacks because of the boost from Call to Arms, where he's going to regenerate the amount of soul energy that he spent for the smoke bomb all by himself before anybody else is able to do anything. But as you can see here, we're closing out this floor very similar to the other one. We're going to take out the Warmaster guys here first, just because they've got a little bit more life. And I've noticed that sometimes we get those bigger hits like you saw there, and you need a bit of a buffer with the highest level enemy left to reset yourself going into the boss room. And a few of these smoke bombs I've been a little slow on. You really do want to try and get the smoke bomb as soon as the cooldown on it is up, unless you're coming up to the very end of a stage and you need to save it for the start of the next floor. But that you'll have to determine based on the star level of your ninja, and I mean this is in regards to all content, not just this particular stage. But learning how much damage your ninja smoke bomb does and how often you need to use it, when you need to save it, things like that, is really going to help it be a lot more efficient for you and make sure that you're getting the most out of the disruption from the stun. And now with this boss room coming up, we're going to want to make sure that we target the boss right away. We're not going to want to put DPS, single target DPS on anybody else on the floor except for the boss. The idea is that we're going to be able to target the boss and take down almost all of the adds at right around the same time using the poison smoke bomb, hopefully. I've done this successfully 3 or 4 times now, and I've failed twice. No potions any of the times here on this one. On the Sonial account, it took me 4 fails and then 1 successful try using 1 revive potion. But we're going to want to drop the smoke bomb, drop a shield tactics right off the bat. Luckily, we got a renewal on our Warmaster leading into this floor. One of the great things about renewal, it is the highest total heal skill in the game. It will give you a total of about 1,200 health healed, I want to say, at 7 stars. And you see there those target weakness and defense debuffs came in. We wanted to make sure that we get our cleanse up on the Cleric right away. Our next cleanse target will, of course, be our Warmaster here up front. And then our ninja on the bottom. The low priority here is the Druid. who is valuable for her Invigor and Entangle, and the Rapid Regen is a nice buffer. Typically, I've found myself using Rapid Regen the least of any of these skills. And additionally, the shield tactics, like I talked about, you don't want to spend too much soul energy casting it repeatedly. You'll find your windows in here where it's safe to expend that extra energy. And you want to make sure that if you're taking those lightning bolts and things like that on your Cleric, that you're prioritizing Rapid Regen first to get her health topped off. And trying to maintain the Warmaster as your primary target for Invigor as well. If all of your heroes are at full HP, the Invigor is going to target randomly. So you want to try and keep at least a little slivers of life off of your Warmaster. Hopefully not 3/4 of his life gone too often. Renewal will help you recover from those situations where you have less than half of your health gone, like I said. But we don't want to rely on that too much because it does have a slower cooldown and slower skill cycle than the rest of her abilities. And those bombards are going to force us to drop another Rapid Regen here. We're going to throw down a smoke bomb. And unfortunately, I had recorded a run just before this that had gone a lot more smoothly, much better HP totals, everything running perfectly, and the video file was corrupted because we ran out of storage space here. That being said, we will try and cover the other couple difficult chapters in the Gathering Storm here before the couple days left in the campaign have expired, and that would be the chapter 9 and chapter 10, which I want to say is the Demonic Watcher, and I personally can't remember the other boss off the top of my head right now, but we'll go in there and check them out and make sure we get the walkthroughs on those other ones out there for you guys as well. And I've seen a few other successful attempts on this. The lowest level attempt so far, I think, was done by Beatific, using no 7-star heroes for his damage. And the way he was able to keep his Cleric alive in this final stage here was using the Smoking Mace, which is a blue one-handed hacking weapon that gives an additional 20 fire resistance. Because the attack that he was struggling with the most was the fire damage from these backline casters here. But as you see here with the Ninja Smoke Bomb and the shield tactics going off, the Invigor and things like that, we have not had to worry too much about those backline guys. And we're getting down to the little bit of remaining health on the boss here, with a few enemies that are a little bit around halfway or so. So we'll probably end up with 3 or 4 of these guys dying at the same time. And we're getting a little bit more leeway now to start casting the shield tactics and the rapid regens a little more recklessly if we need to. But again, you want to keep that smoke bomb going off as often as possible. Every 10 seconds is the cooldown on it. So you want to make sure you're paying close attention to the cooldown on that smoke bomb, throwing it up instantly. And again, as you may have seen in some of the previous videos we've done for the Gathering Storm and for the tower attacks without healers, when you pair the Ninja with the Valkyrie, her Light of Wrath ability at 5, 6, and 7 stars usually gives just about enough soul energy for a smoke bomb. You're going to need maybe 1 additional hit after that. And that's going to also help you to just, hurl off as many smoke bombs as you possibly can. So don't be sparing with your smoke bomb. You don't want to sit on it and preserve your soul energy. You want to prioritize that smoke bomb over everything else, because the disruption it gives you is really going to save your heroes by giving them those extra turns when you combine it with that additional cooldown reduction like we talked about. But there we have it. The boss is down. These last couple adds shouldn't be too much of an issue. We'll go ahead and target the archers first, just like the other rooms here. Although in my attempts on Soniel, it was very frustrating. I got about this far, and my other heroes were dead. My ninja was still alive. He managed to get it down to 2 enemies, and then got himself killed. So don't take the enemies left over after the boss is defeated too lightly. They can absolutely do some pretty serious damage if you stop throwing your smoke bombs and stop paying attention to your hero's HP and debuffs and things like that. Just defeating the boss isn't quite good enough. You got to make sure everything is cleared first. But as you can see here, that was a pretty clean kill on this Chapter 11 Extreme. I'd say it's a pretty high success rate with this team. I'm sure there are a couple situations where you can get bamboozled and one of your heroes dies. Of course, if you bring a revive potion and an immunity potion along, that'll probably put this near to a 100% success rate with this team on this. Probably the most difficult campaign stage we've seen yet. It'll probably be quite a while before we see anything as difficult as this. I would imagine the next few special campaigns will probably be fairly easy in comparison to what we've been having. And that being said, with the introduction of the item quest, the Witches campaign, and the Berserkers campaign, I do suggest to a lot of you newer keepers that you prioritize on those 3 particular special campaigns and getting as far into them as you can. The item quest is going to give you incredibly valuable item boosters that are going to help you boost the level of your items. The Witches quest is going to give you captured monsters, most importantly the Vicious Overseer, the Black Fist Evoker, and the Corrupted Inquisitor. And the Berserkers quest is going to give you a ton of training points that will help you level up all of your heroes and keep your hero roster more balanced. But there you have it. That's Chapter 11 on Extreme. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the Keeper's Corner, thumbs up, all that good stuff. And we will catch you guys on the next one.